So we only need one person really to have that imprint on us for us to be okay in adversity as kids.
It's quite incredible the role that support of stable person who can really see us and witness us and help us process what we've experienced, that can change things so dramatically.
Yeah. And, what we know about like neuroplasticity and recovery in general from addiction is that it would have been ideal if that happened in childhood, if you had that relationship in childhood. But the good news is that you just need that at some point to heal. And that being seen, heard, and, having love come your way from someone is the remedy often for an addiction.
Wow. It just strikes me that there can be opportunities for anyone to experience the type of relationship that can bring healing to them and therefore alleviate their addiction. And I'm also conscious that some people might be wondering, yeah, but where do I get that? I don't know how to get it. I've never had it. I don't even know how to accept it if it is there. What would you say to someone in that position?
Yeah. So, well, for drugs and alcohol and gambling, all other addictions, there are hotlines personalised to support people with those addictions, and affected others can call those hotlines too. So we can have all those resources linked up with this podcast. So they can be 24-hour supports for people who want to maybe remain anonymous, have an experience of a non-judgmental, warm, professional counsellor who knows about the addiction that you're struggling with or knows something about the pain that's underneath at least. And that could be a first step. That could be a first step to getting a referral to maybe detox or rehab or ongoing counselling. But yeah, that first step can just be the only thing you need to think about, and then you can make a plan after that in the phone call. You don't need to, I guess I'm trying to say you don't need to know all the steps. You just need to know what could be the next step. Might take a bit of the pressure off for people.
Be very overwhelming to try and think of how you're going to kind of fix something that you've struggled with for a long time.
Yes. And there's so much pressure. Working with clients, a common thread is a real sense of I've got to solve this on my own and I've got to know all the answers right this red hot minute. And the reality is that that's not true. And we sort of, in therapy with clients, I help people question that belief that feels like a real burden on their shoulders. Learning to receive care is a part of that.
So, as a starting point, the resources that we'll share in our caption or comments, and also obviously potentially therapy. And I'm curious about the role of groups in addiction and healing.
Yeah, so there's a new body of research in Europe and the UK that's focused on prescribing people social connection. So, not instead of other supports like regular antidepressants and other, effective means to support people's recovery like therapy, but social prescribing where you connect with groups, connect with people like-minded and not like-minded. It doesn't really matter, but as long as you're not sitting in isolation as much and you're connecting with people and feeling like that you matter, that you have purpose, that you guys are working towards goals. It could be, some examples that have been cited have been people that are building garden beds together. So having a common goal, working together, learning a new skill, completely different to drugs or alcohol or gambling or any other addiction, but it's effective in people's recovery sometimes.
That sounds really beautiful. And I also think of groups like AA, NA, all the A groups that, for decades have supported people in addiction and the mentoring that people receive in those kind of groups.
Yeah. A lot of people find benefit in being around people that are going through what they're going through, have a lived experience, are at various stages of their recovery. And for a lot of clients, I think that provides people with safety and feeling seen and validated in what they're struggling with, because some people think that they are especially stuck with their addiction and especially unique with their relationship with their substance or their behaviour. And the reality is, there's lots and lots of hotlines and lots of government funding because it is such a common, widespread issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes me think of shame when you say that people thinking that, oh, I'm especially bad. I'm really stuck with this and other people don't seem to be experiencing it. And it is something that we do kind of keep quiet about, isn't it? Addiction.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot to do with how our society is designed and our conditioning growing up, what we learn to be what we learn to be acceptable and not acceptable. How can we be in this world to maximise our connection with people? That's a survival thing that we figure out early on in life, and if we don't question it and acknowledge it, it keeps playing out in our adult life too, when it doesn't have to anymore.
It reminds me of, I think it might even be a Gabor Mate quote, that when there's a question of attachment or authenticity, when we have to choose one or the other, like if I'm my authentic self, I might lose my attachment. If I keep this attachment, I can't be authentic. We're really wired to choose the attachment and forego authenticity. And I think that involves hiding parts of ourselves, particularly parts that we think aren't going to be accepted by others, to maintain connection. And maybe that's part of what happens with keeping addiction in the shadows.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And there was a University of Sydney study in this year, 2025, that found that people wait 12 years struggling with addiction and mental health before accessing support. And with those particular learned experiences from childhood, probably just keeping them feeling stuck.
It makes me wonder, 12 years is such a long time to kind of battle through and try and manage it ourselves, and probably part of that is not really knowing where to take that first step. And I would love if the outcome of this was just that someone realised the first step to take.
Yeah.
But also that the addiction is born of the lack of attachment and bonding at a crucial time with somebody who could have been a support. And it just makes so much sense that it would be really hard to reach then for support with the addiction when that is like the original wound.
Yeah. And a part of our brain particularly reinforces this. So the reticular activating system is a part of our brain that all our sensory input is filtered through this lens of, does this validate my beliefs from the past or does it contradict it? And this reticular activating system will disregard information that we get through our senses that contradict our beliefs. So feeling unsupported with an addiction might reinforce old feelings of no one cares, I'm alone, I'm stuck, I've got to figure this out on my own. So it's really good to notice if that's happening or notice when that's happening and question it.
It makes so much sense that, if the wound is I'm alone with this pain, that this way that our brain functions has us still believing I'm alone with this pain, with the addiction that has then developed, and we therefore may not even see the support that is available, that our brain would filter that out because we believe that we're alone with our pain.
Yeah. And maybe people can see there's support there and, have heard this podcast, so now they know that support is there. But it might be really a big step or it is a big step, and it might feel so big that it feels unsafe, for example. So that's a hard barrier too.